The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Fantasy. They bring new offer for new customers. Play just $5, get $100 bonus funds. Use promo code MLB SGPN. And welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is currently early Sunday morning, around 1 a.m. Eastern on Sunday, October 5th. I'm Rose Scott Rochelle going solo for this pod. Was supposed to be with Lante, but unfortunately with the late finish for the Mariners game, as well as some technical difficulties on his end, he couldn't make it. So instead I'm going to go solo for this episode. We're going to break down the two games for Sunday. Pretty weird card in general and distribution of the actual games, because we had 4 games, of course, on Saturday. Then we have 2 games on Sunday, 2 games on Monday. So kind of a weird breakdown. We have 1 game at 4 and 1 game at 8 p.m. Eastern. So once again, if you're looking for baseball, it's not going to overlap with the 1 p.m. football games. It'll overlap with the 4 p.m. and, of course, Sunday Night Football. But you have 2 games on the card, the American League Series between the Yankees and the Blue Jays and the Tigers and the Mariners. We're going to get into both those games in a second. Before we get into the breakdown of Game 2 and the recap of Game 1 as well, a reminder, go to find all of our picks and podcasts in one easy location instead of finding it in each individual YouTube channel. For the different shows that we have, go to the app, SGPN app in the App Store, free to download to get access to all of our free picks and podcasts in one easy location. So before we get into the actual breakdown of the 2 games for Sunday, I want to briefly talk about what happened in the Game 1s that we ended up seeing. So for the 4 Game 1s, we had the home team win the first 2 games handily, and the road teams ended up winning the late games. So Milwaukee ended up beating the Cubs 9-3. Weird game, as the Cubs scored via leadoff home run from Bush. Then Boyd got absolutely destroyed. Milwaukee scored 9 runs in the first 2 innings, and they won 9-3. So a nice, easy win there for Milwaukee. Ended up seeing Churio, though, get hurt, so we'll see what his story is. I think it was a hamstring issue, so we'll see how long he's going to be out for. But he had 3 hits, got injured, and then had to leave the game. But Milwaukee ended up coasting, never in doubt, and we had Milwaukee minus 1.5 at plus 150 as the dog for the show. So nice win there, never in doubt. Now for the second game, it was definitely closer for a longer period of time than that Milwaukee game, which was over in about an inning and a half. For the Yankees game against Toronto, it was actually 2-1 in the 7th inning. And the Yankees actually had bases loaded with no outs and only scored 1 run when being down 2-0. Judge struck out, Bellinger walked with the bases loaded to score a run. Rice popped up, and then Stan struck out, and that was basically the game because the Yankees bullpen was really, really bad. I ended up seeing Weaver come in for the second time this postseason, and once again recorded 0 outs. Has an ERA of infinity in the postseason. He was really bad. The Yankees went to Cruz afterwards. He wasn't good either, and then Blackburn came into the mop-up duty and got shelled in the 8th inning as the Yankees went from being down 2-1 in the 7th inning to losing 10-1. A reminder, Toronto did not bat in the 9th inning. Yankees gave up 4 runs in the 7th and 4 runs in the 8th, and the game was over in the span of about 10 minutes. So the Yankees had some chances, didn't convert, mainly with that Judge strikeout and with the Stan strikeout as well. And then after that happened, Toronto had a second wind, blew the game open, and they won the game 10-1. So nice job there by Toronto. We'll talk about that game too in a second. Moving on, though, to one of the comeback wins ended up having on the card. Actually, I mean, technically the second comeback win, if you count the Cubs' leadoff home run. But this was the only game that really had some lead change late when it comes to one team leading and then blowing it. So Philly led 3-0, and they ended up falling apart. Ended up seeing the Dodgers score 2 runs in the 6th inning. Then Teoscar, who had a misplay in the field earlier in the game, leading to the Real Muto triple, ended up having a 3-run go-ahead homer as they led 5-3. The bullpen held their nerve. Sasaki got his first save, and the Dodgers did manage to steal Game 1, despite Sanchez pitching very well for the first 5+ innings. But Strom gave up the bomb, and then eventually the bullpens held as the Dodgers won 5-3. For the last game, the extra inning game, first extra inning game of the postseason, the Tigers ended up sneaking away with the road win in Game 1. Seattle was up 1-0, courtesy of a Julio Rodriguez home run. Then Carpenter, who continues to own Kirby, homered again for the 5th time against him in the heads-up meetings. And then you ended up seeing Seattle come back. Then you went to the 11th inning. A reminder, no ghost runner on second base for the playoffs. And eventually the Tigers took the lead courtesy of a McKinstry single in the 11th and held on to win the game 3-2. Not a great look for Seattle when you have 6 hits in the entire game, and 3 of them are by Raleigh, and 3 of them are by Julio Rodriguez, which means 2 players had all of their hits. The other 7 spots in the order combined for 0 hits in the entire Seattle lineup. Not good. Either way, though, nice win for Detroit. They have Skubal going in game 2. We'll see if they can steal both games in Seattle. But either way, nice win for Detroit in the late game, which went even later because it ended up going to extra innings. So moving on to the game 1s that we talk about for the Sunday card. Yankees taking on the Blue Jays. Now, for this one, Blue Jays are actually dogs here. Yankees are minus 150. Toronto is about plus 128, plus 130, give or take. For the run line, Yankees minus 1.5 is plus 110. And for the Blue Jays, you have minus 132 on the plus 1.5. The over-under is 8. Said before, the Yankees lost 10-1. The game was much closer than that before the bullpens got involved, and the Yankees got nothing from Heel, fell behind early, stranded a bunch of runners on base in the 6th inning. Then the bullpens came in for the, I'd say, high-stakes portion of the game, and the Yankees bullpen imploded. Weaver sucked, Cruz sucked, and Blackburn, the game was over at that point. But either way, Toronto went from up 2-1 to winning 10-1, but the game was closer than that if you actually watched it. Now, for the matchup, we know Fried was really good against Boston. They squandered it because the bullpen fell apart, and you ended up seeing Fried give up no runs in his only playoff start. But Toronto's been good against them so far this season, which makes it a bit problematic, potentially, for the Yankees, because they lose this game. They're down 2-0, and of course, they have to win 3 in a row to advance into the next round. Now, his numbers against Toronto, he was average. 24 in the 3rd innings, 2-1 record, 4.07 ERA. So overall, fine. In the Rogers Center, though, not good. 2 starts, 11 in the 3rd innings, a 6.35 ERA. So not a great ballpark for Fried this season. However, compared to what Toronto's using for the starters, it makes sense why the Yankees are favored, because you have Yasevich going for Toronto, who we know is a rookie who showed up midway towards the end of the season, actually showed up in September. He's made 3 appearances. He's been fine, 3.21 ERA. No home runs allowed, but he has walked 2+ guys in the 3 straight starts. And the fact is, his first ever postseason start, his 4th ever start, a pretty dangerous proposition for Toronto. Now, we know that Gausman was very good in game 1. The Yankees were pretty horrible at working counts. They swung early in a bunch of counts. Then eventually you ended up seeing Gausman kind of unravel in that 1 inning, and the bullpen got the job done to salvage his overall stat line. But you're looking at a pretty tough spot for the youngster who's 22. We saw early pitch for the Red Sox in game 3 of the wild card round. Similar story here, except this time Yasevich is at home. But either way, point is you have a young guy going up against an offense that can be dangerous, even though they no-show game 1. And we'll see how he looks. Now, for the actual pricing and the over-under at 8, we ended up having the over in game 1, as we ended up sweeping on the podcast. We had 7.5, which got there courtesy of the bad Yankees bullpen. Now, Fried needs to pitch well. Yasevich, you can argue, can get by if he pitches poorly, because you might look at Lauer maybe as the piggyback option out of the bullpen. Now, I do think the Yankees at this price point seem expensive. I understand it because you're getting a complete rookie in his first ever postseason start against an offense that should be desperate to get back on track here with the Yankees. But this bullpen is still problematic. Just simply put, I think you're looking at a spot where the Yankees should win, but are they overvalued? Probably. I think 150 is expensive. The Yankees have been really bad against the Blue Jays so far this season. Now, the Yankees do have something in their back pocket, which is experience, because they were also down 1-0 to Boston in the wild card series, and they got the job done. Now, for the regular season, Toronto ended up winning 8-5, including the once again game 1. They're 9-5 against the Yankees this season. So Toronto's kind of owned this team. For the Rogers Center, it has been very lopsided in favor of Toronto. So going through the games here, Toronto was 5-0 to start, 6-0. I believe they were 6-1 in the home games against the Yankees this season. So once again, a very, very difficult place to play. It's been a house of horrors for the Yankees. I believe Toronto, if I did the math wrong, apologies, they're at least 6-1 against the Yankees in Rogers Center this season. So we'll see if the Yankees can snap that. Do I think the Yankees win this game? I think it's going to be close either way. I am tempted by Toronto plus 1.5 at minus 132. The Yankees can win this game, but do I trust the bullpen? No. You're looking at a lot of guys who got used because you ended up seeing Heel only go about 2 2/3. But you're looking at Cruz, who can't be used because he's been kind of a mess lately. Weaver's probably not going to pitch again for the rest of the series minimum. You're looking at, we know Williams can be very up and down. He's been good lately. Bednar's still the closer. Do I like the other options? Not really. I'll go with Toronto plus 1.5. Think the Yankees, once again, might end up winning this game, but do I pick them winning in blowout fashion? Not in this ballpark. I'll tell you that much. Give me Toronto plus 1.5 to hang in there. Yusevich might go okay. Fried, though, has not been good in this building so far this season. So based on that, I think you could argue the over has potential at around 8. I preferred at 7.5 in game 1, but Fried in this ballpark not being great, Yankees bullpen not being great, and a complete unknown starting for Toronto. I see runs in this game. I'll go over for this one, and I also don't mind the Blue Jays plus 1.5. The Yankees can win, but minus 150 feels pretty large when I don't trust this team's bullpen at all. So give me the Blue Jays plus 1.5 at home for this game with the over as my thoughts for this one. Before we get into the other game on the card, I remind you once again that we're brought to you by our sponsor, which is MyBookie.ag. So using to bet on football, baseball, WNBA as well. Their prop builds are second to none. Their model simple, bet anything, anywhere, anytime. Use crypto for deposit payouts when you sign up for your new account. Use the code SGPN for a special 100% payback bonus $500 for new customers. MyBookie.ag promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Novig, which is America's #1 prediction market for sports. Since Novig is an exchange, we're getting some great prices compared to the sports books. It's available in 30+ states, so make sure you check out the platform in different states. Download the Novig app. $50 when you spend just $5. When you use promo code SGPN, get on the action with Novig. Promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. We're going through the first game on the Sunday card. Time to keep rolling with the second game. This is going to be game 2 between the Mariners and the Tigers. Tigers, of course, did steal game 1 on the road in extras. We'll see if Seattle can bounce back. Now, easier said than done because you have schoolball pitching for Detroit. Now, because of that, the Tigers are favored on the road, minus 126. Seattle is plus 108 for the run line. Detroit minus 1.5 plus 146. Seattle plus 1.5 is minus 178. The over-under is at 6.5. So schoolball's pitching for Detroit after that crazy outing against Cleveland in the first round, where he struck out 14 guys in 7 2/3. He was absolutely shoving. Now, Castillo is pitching for Seattle, who has not pitched for a little bit because he's not pitched since the 24th. So you can argue Russ might play a factor, but he was great in the regular season. Last 4 starts, he allowed less than 2 runs in each of them. So he's been really good lately. I'll point out as well, Castillo has very underrated postseason numbers. He's made 3 career postseason starts, career ERA of 1.83. So pretty underrated postseason pitcher for Castillo, which might explain why the total here is at 6.5. Now, I will point out that schoolball has been objectively horrible against Seattle this season. In fact, it was kind of like Skeens against Milwaukee. The only team that really killed him was Seattle. He faced Seattle twice, ended up having a pretty lackluster outing both times. 10 2/3 innings, a 5.91 ERA. So Seattle's gone to him before. We'll see if they can get to him again. In the actual, I'd say, situation in itself, Seattle needs to get to him because you can't afford to go down 2-0 while punting both games at home. That can't happen. Now, game 1 was very, very close, even though Seattle only got hits from 2 players. Once again, besides Rodriguez and Raleigh, 0 players on the entire Mariners roster had a hit. 2 players had 3 hits each. That was it. Nobody else did anything offensively for this team. Now, Detroit was able to get by. They struck out a ton, as they always do, in game 1. Kirby was dealing early. Then you ended up seeing Kerry get to him again. What else is new? But the Tigers did strike out 16 times, which is pretty on brand. So the argument is, do I think Detroit will get a 2-0 lead with Skubal bouncing back against a team that kind of owned them in the regular season? Or do I think Castillo matches Skubal, you get another low-scoring game, and Seattle ends up, or I should say, do I think Skubal ends up, I'd say, making amends and pitching well, leading Detroit to a win? Or does Seattle get to Skubal, or maybe even you see a pitcher's duel and Seattle escapes with a 2-1 type win, something like that? So my favorite play in this game is the under, obviously. I do think Skubal will bounce back. I know Seattle got to him in the regular season. This lineup doesn't scare me, and I understand that Seattle did invest in the lineup, mainly getting, for example, the likes of Suarez at the deadline, etc., Naylor as well. The fact is, there were only two guys who got hits on this entire team in the first game. Did I like how they were hitting the ball? No. I think that the Tigers didn't hit the ball well either. So I like the under in this game. I feel you're looking at what should be a pretty similar series to what we saw for the Tigers and Guardians, which is whichever team can get a clutch hit at any point probably wins the game. And Detroit was able to get the job done in the 11th inning, courtesy of McKinstry. But were they good with guys on base? No. They were 2 for 11, which is pretty similar to how they did against Cleveland in the first round before they exploded in that final game against the bullpen. But Detroit had a bunch of guys on base, like always. They mostly didn't capitalize. Seattle only had 4 chances with runners in scoring position. And the fact is, the offense no-showed. You had 5 runs in game 1, 4 in the first 9 innings. So I see a low-scoring game again. I think Skubal and Castillo should pitch well. I like the under 6.5 in this game as my favorite play. Simply put, as long as the Tigers are in the playoffs, I'm going to keep banking on low-scoring games. Because why would I not assume you're going to see another rock fight? It's how Detroit wants to play. Seattle's built kind of the same way with their pitching staff. They have a bit more firepower offensively, which completely no-showed the first game. But I like the under, 6.5 in this one. For the side, it's very, very tricky because Skubal has not been good against this team. And Castillo has been good in the postseason, but he also can be pretty volatile at times. So, you know what? I'll go for Seattle. I think the plus money is appealing. The fact is Skubal might go well, but I'm picking a close game either way. So you want to give me home field with a plus money tag, and I'm picking Castillo to keep this game close with Skubal, or Skubal gets shelled. I don't mind plus money. I think you'd argue that there is some value on Seattle because Skubal has not been good against this team. So I'll go for the plus money with Seattle. I prefer the under in this game. I think you're looking at a rock fight, and I think you're going to end up seeing another 2-1 game in the 7th, 8th inning, and we'll go from there. But give me the under for this one, and what I think should be a nail-biter through and through. Anyway, it's going to wrap it up for my predictions for the 2 games on Sunday. Time to move on into the lock and dog picks. Before we get into the lock and dog, reminder brought to you by our sponsor, which is Our Fantasy. You just play the fantasy pick'em entries, chance to win 5 times your entry, the high or lower, and your favorite player stats. Available for a ton of different sports as well. They have a new offer for new customers. Play just $5, get $100 bonus funds with promo code MLB SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. They're off to a great start in college football and NFL. They have a leaderboard system now with weekly cash prizes for tracking your bets in the app. Track 5 bets at the same time for an amount that you build, and you can win $1K. And a reminder, we have a nice discount code with Rhythm. Use the code SGPN25. You download the Rhythm app for a quarter off first month. Down Rhythm. Once again, promo code SGPN25. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. Finished going through the 2 games for the card on Sunday. Time to move on into the lock and dog picks. For the lock, you know what? Give it to me. Give me the under 6.5 in this Mariners game as my lock. I see a low-scoring rock fight. I believe the wind is blowing in this ballpark on Sunday. You have Skubal, who I think should pitch well in general, even though he was not good in the regular season. But Seattle's offense really doesn't scare me too much. And you're looking at Detroit's offense, which still can hit with guys on base. They won the game, but they went 2 for 11 with guys in scoring position. And the fact is, I do think that Castillo, with his postseason numbers and ends the regular season, should look sharp as well. I like the under 6.5. I think it's going to be a pretty ugly series in general. Give me the under as my lock for the show. For the dog, this is where it gets a bit tricky because I think the Yankees are going to win, but I don't really like the value at all for the sake of the pricing that I'm getting for this actual matchup. So if I'm quickly pulling up some potential props I can go with for this collection of games here, let me just see quickly what there is to like. Sorry, it's just pretty difficult with 2 games on the card. Not really seeing much I'm really into. Do I want to go for a double down here? I could do that if I'm interested. Freed strikeouts have been horrible against Toronto, so I can go for an alt under on that if I want it. I mean, Yasevich has been really good against lefties. That could be an option if I want to go for it. Maybe he gets pinch hit for in the game. Yeah, you know what? I think I'll actually go for it. Give me Ben Rice, no hits at plus 137. I like the price. Rice had some really bad games the last 2 times out. He had the home run in the first inning against Boston in game 1. Since then, or in game 2, I mean, since then, he's done nothing. He's had no hits in his last 7 plate appearances. He was really bad against Gausman. I think it's a big price for Rice. You might get pinch hit for by Goldie at some point during the game. Yasevich, though, has been really good against lefties. Kind of a weird reverse splits thing going on for him. So to mention Yasevich's numbers here against them, lefties this season are batting 161 against them. So I actually like the idea of Rice struggling early, getting pinch hit for, and I think there's some value. Give me Ben Rice, no hits at plus 137 as my dog for the show. Moving on to the home run picks for the card. I was waiting for a line to drop on it. I didn't see a line drop on it, but I still like it. I'm hoping they ended up adding numbers to the prop I was interested in. It was going to be the no home run play in the Tigers and Mariners game. I think it's appealing. You're looking at Skubal, who we know can shove at any given moment, and I do think he should look sharp here in this one. But you're looking at Castillo, who I know hasn't pitched in a while. He was very good at not allowing home runs in the regular season. Castillo, in his last couple of regular season starts, allowed no home runs in 2 of the last 3. So I do think he can do a good job of keeping the ball in the ballpark with the wind blowing in. Skubal, we know, is very good. Give me the no home run play for this one. Do I have a price? No. I think it should be around 4-1. It's what it has been for the other playoff games with Skubal, etc. So I'll go with the no home run in the Tigers game as my home run pick for the Sunday card. That's going to wrap it up for this impromptu solo episode for the show. Back once again on Sunday to get into the Monday games. Till next time, I'm on Twitter Radio. Good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.